So this is the last of the factoring methods, and so we are in two terms, and we're down here in the land of perfect cubes. And so these are just formulas, and it's kind of a either you know them or you don't. So it's good to know them because you can't really figure them out without just someone showing you at this stage. So let me show you how these go. So this first one, again, we still always have to look for the GCF. So in this case, it looks like I can pull out a 2, and we're going to get 125x cubed plus 8. And then let me talk about what our cubes are for a second. So 1 is a cube, because 1 cubed equals 1. 2 cubed makes 8. 3 cubed is 27. 4 cubed is 64. 5 cubed is 125. And 6 cubed is 216. So that's about as big a numbers as you're going to run into. So here we got the 125 and the 8. When we see the 125, it's going to break down to a 5. When we see an 8, it's going to break down to a 2. So what we're doing is basically a cube root. We just haven't heard that yet, and we won't hear it for another 2 chapters, I think. But we can think of it as what times what times what makes 8. So that would be 2. So the way the formula goes is we have 2 formulas, one for plus, one for minus. And the first step is just to kind of break it down. You know, like I said, when we see an 8, we're going to break it down to a 2. We see a 5, we're going to break it, or a 25, we're going to break it down. I still said it wrong. 125, we're going to break it down to a 5. So this first part, the A and the B, what times what would make this would be 5x. And then same thing, what times what would be a 2. So then the rest of the formula fills in a squared, so it's just this times itself goes here. Middle's AB, so A times B, multiply them together, goes in the middle. And then B times B on the end. So this times this in front, multiply them together in the middle, this times this on the end. So that part I can kind of remember the pattern, but I had a hard time remembering the signs. And then, so I noticed that the first sign is always the same as whatever we're starting with. Second sign is always opposite, and then the third sign is always positive. So that works for both formulas. So if you remember same, opposite, positive, then that will help you remember the signs for the formulas. So there's our first sign being the same. And then from here we go to the a squared. So 5x times 5x, so 25x squared. And then opposite sign from what we just wrote. AB is our middle, so we just multiply them together, 10x, and then plus, always positive on the end. B squared, so B is 2, 2 times 2 makes 4. For this one, I think we can get a, oh, and then the other thing back here is, these look like the last section where it should break down to like 5x minus 2 or something. Because this isn't 2AB, it's AB, this is where the formula stops. And so you cannot improve upon this. Just leave it right where it is. The other thing is with this minus sign, I'll show you coming up, sometimes people want to try to change the signs in the formula. Don't, the signs are totally right. So just think of B as being the number and the signs are already squared away. So I can take a 5 out of here. So it's going to give me 5 and then x cubed. And then minus 27z cubed. And then I'll start this over here so I have a little more room to write. So then I have my 5. X cubed is going to break down to x. First sign always matches. 27s, they break down to 3s. Oops, didn't leave myself enough room for that z. And it should be, I'm just going to do that. 3z right here, because 3z gets me back to 27z cubed. And then we just use this to fill in the rest. So x times x, x squared, and opposite sign, x times 3z, so we'll go 3xz, and then last sign's always positive, and 3z times 3z, 9z squared. These next two are actually the next 4 are the ones that have you guys try in class. So I'll go through them a little quicker. So this one we'd have x plus 2, 8 breaks down to 2. And then x times x, x squared, x times 2, opposite sign, 2x, 2 times 2, 4. This is pretty much rewriting this formula with x's and y's in the same places, because it's the exact same thing, just a variable change. So x minus y, and then x next, x squared, opposite sign, x times y times y. Okay, 43, looks like we can take a 2 out. That leaves us 27x cubed minus 8. So then bring the 2 down, 27x cubed breaks down to a 3x, 8 breaks down to a 2, and then just fill in the rest from here. So 3x times 3x, 9x squared, multiply them together with the opposite sign, 6x, 2 times 2, be 4. And then this one already has the cube showing, so it's just going to go 2x and 5y, and then 2x times 2x, 4x squared, 2x times 5y, so that's minus 10xy, and 5y times 5y, 25y squared.